Hey, what's going on, guys? It is your boy, the Humble Dreadhound, back with a hell of a guest. You guys know him. You love him. Such an iconic voice. We have our boy, Corey Landis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and I'm not so deserving of that intro, but I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, I really do appreciate you. It took some time for this to come together. You've been very busy. I've been very busy, but I'm super, super appreciative of, you spending this time with us. It does mean a lot.
Not at all, not at all. I love to chat with people who love to chat.
Well, my community, they know I am a huge fan of the character you play in Honkai Star Rail, Welt Yang. So this is awesome on many levels. Obviously, you're more than Welt. I won't make the entire conversation about Welt, but hearing that your speaking voice is also your character voice, it's pretty cool to experience.
Yeah, that's something that I've been seeing as I've been looking at comments and whatnot online, and yeah, it's like part of me is like, oh well, what else would it be? But then also part of me gets it because certain characters require a character voice, and this just wasn't one of those cases. And yeah, I'm using my voice.
Well, no, it just works. It sounds well, not it sounds. Your voice is very distinguished, and I feel as though you bring that into the role. How much of yourself would you say you bring into the character?
I mean, I first I appreciate that. It's the voice is a weird thing because it's yours and you don't really think about it until other people bring it up to you. I and I'm saying this completely modestly, like people will say like, "Oh, you got a nice voice," or "Do you do voiceover?" or whatever, and I don't, and I have to go like, "Oh, well, yeah, I do." I just don't think about it. It's my voice. Um, uh, it's nice that it ends up working out where it sounds good to people. I just don't think about it. As far as your specific question, I mean, I I think it's a good character for me. I think ultimately, when things work out best, and I think this is a situation like that because it seems like people are enjoying the character and what I bring to it. I think those things work out best when there is a bit of you in that character,
Okay.
and I don't do anything in particular. I Other than approach it like an acting role where I just am not seen, but it jives well, and people I think instinctively respond to it when there is that innate connection. And he's a grandpa. I was my one of my best friends has been calling me Grandpa Corey since I was 21. I've been an old man all my life. Um, I apparently used to be an animator. I love animation for whatever that portends. He's he likes to wax poetic frequently. I can be accused of that.
I love it.
Um, he's he he cares about people and is very competent. Uh, he's just not a hothead. But so I just think strangely there's a lot of stuff that lines up between the two of us, and so
Okay.
I don't really have to do anything other than approach it like, which is what I try to do in my other acting roles, which is what would I be like in this situation.
Okay.
and I'm also directed by people as well. So I think a lot of it, again, there's a lot of, not to get all woo woo and whatever, but I do think that like things ultimately work out is when, when the actor and the character sort of have a lot just already in common.
Okay. I mean, I think that's phenomenal. But let's, get more into, the man behind the voice. How did you get into voice acting or acting itself?
Um, well, voice acting is just by way of acting, in that, I tend to say we as actors will kind of do whatever you pay us to do within our uh, limits.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've done everything but porn at this point. Like basically you pay us to show up for a gig and we'll do it
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. And so, but that said, I've always wanted to hit heavy the voice acting side of it. I mean, it's strange, and I'll get back to how I got into it in a minute, but it's strange because Welt is my voice. I love doing voices. I love doing character voices. I do. I'm on an animated show called the Tuttle Twins, and I do
Mm-hmm.
like, like 10 different voices on that show. I've just grown up loving to do impressions and voices, watching The Simpsons, wanting to be one of, I wanted to be Hank Azaria or whatever. And so it's just funny that I'm just not doing that on this. But I kind of did plays in high school,
Okay.
went off to college, and eventually majored in theater, got a theater degree, moved out to Los Angeles right after graduating, and just started pursuing acting and music. I moved out here for those two pursuits. I'm a singer-songwriter. I play piano and I write songs and I sing and stuff. And so I came out here just to see which would work.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's basically it. It's just this. It's everybody else's story. Just kind of like you got the bug in high school, went into college, and then moved to Los Angeles.
Well, it's amazing how, talented all of you are. It's like, hey, I sing, I write, I play instruments, and I feel as though all of these things come together to make up such a talented individual. And how did you just know, hey, this is what I want to do? Because oftentimes, people, they have these abilities, but they don't necessarily lean into their passions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's 2 points there. One, to what you said first. I mean, yeah. What I think about is uh, like let's say Tony Bennett,
Mm-hmm.
the singer. I mean, he's passed at this point, but he's a phenomenal painter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, um, Johnny Depp did not want to be an actor; he wanted to be a musician.
Really, I
Uh,
didn't know that.
and so I do tend to think creative people are creative. They're going to be maybe better at certain things. They're maybe going to be um, wanted to be seen in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
It may not. The world has told Johnny Depp we would much rather see you in movies than listen to your music. That doesn't mean that he's bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think people who are just have creative spirits, they tend to be creative. It would be very odd, and I think it would be a sign of mental illness also if somebody was only good at acting. That kind of means you're a crazy person. If you're doing it for the right reasons
Mm.
and from the right place, it just means you are an artist. And sometimes that displays itself, uh, better visually or musically or whatever. Um, and as far as how did I know? I mean, like nobody ever knows. Uh, I my rule is, and I've told this, like I went back to my high school and talked to some kids who were kind of like where I was at that point, and just trying to think like, well, what would I want to hear? What would be like good advice? And it's my rule is everybody's gonna like blow smoke at a certain point when you're young and you're out there doing stuff. Nobody's ever going to come up to you and say like, you suck, like stop doing this. Everybody's going to be blowing smoke. And I saw that around me. I saw people that I was in plays with that I knew weren't good, that people were saying like, oh my God, you need to. My rule is, that's going to happen if somebody either physically or metaphorically takes you by the shoulders and says, no, I'm serious. No, do this. And if enough people do that, in whatever form that is, if you get a sense from people that you respect and enough people saying like, no, yeah, I know, no, but seriously, if you get enough of that, then you should go, okay, all right, fair enough, then maybe I'll look into it.
I love that answer, and I feel like that's a message that is going to resonate with so many people, because you hear it, you go, oh, no. But people are like, I'm telling you, something is telling me to tell you this. You got to do something with it, and I love that, and I appreciate that energy that you just put out there. So thank you so very much for that.
Yeah. No, I think I mean, the flip side that is not so sunny to that bit of advice is there's a lot of people out there that think that they should be doing this that absolutely should not be doing this.
That's fair.
And they're clogging up my freeways. They're making it difficult for me to travel. And I wish you would stay home in Iowa just because you had the starring role in Guys and Dolls in your high school, and that's the not so sunny side of it. But that, if there is this side of it, then there's the other side of it. There's a bunch of people who think that they should be doing things that should not be doing things. And most of the time they end up figuring it out and they go home. But the people who know that they should be doing it, they don't have a plan B, and they don't have an off ramp, and they're just going to do it no matter what. And so if you feel that and you have enough people, so sorry, I just had to tag on that. I don't know why I had to make it dark, but
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't dark. It's honestly, it's sometimes that can be the best advice you ever receive, because I've experienced both sides of that in content creation. I've had, I got started, my friend that I met when I lived down south, Fighting Cowboy, large creator, awesome guy. And he said, hey man, have you ever thought about streaming? And I was like, I just play games. He's like, no, I think it's something you should consider. And it is my absolute passion. Now, I've had times where my content was running hot and views were high. Great. I've had times where it's been a detriment to myself and possibly my family. And I'm like, ooh,
yes,
we got to pull back. I got to go get a regular 9 to 5. Nothing wrong with that. I still work one and do this, but things are now going back on the upside. So it's healthy to see both sides of things and know, when, hey, strike when the iron is hot, or maybe you might want to pull back and reassess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not to keep going down this trail, but like, when I first moved to LA, I went back to see my folks, and my dad said, and he's not by any means like, you got to get a real job. He's not one of those guys, and he's also not one of these pie in the sky, like, whatever you want to do. He's just he's down the middle. He's realistic. But he said, so how long do you think, you're going to stay out there if it doesn't hit or whatever? And I had no answer for him. And because I didn't have an answer for him, I was like, I'm not coming back to Ohio if a year goes by and I'm not getting the success that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a bit of that in you as well. And also significantly to the comment that you like, that you think is important for people to hear, and I think this is important for people to hear.
Yeah.
I did not work for 7 years after I got my first job in Los Angeles. I got one job right off the bat, and I did not book another acting job and barely had any auditions for 7 years. And at no point during that did I ever think, well, that's it, I guess I should move back to Ohio.
That is mental fortitude. I like it.
Well, it's either delusion, which it could be, or if you're right, which I am, it turns out to be okay. It turns out to be, you just have to, I mean, belief in yourself isn't enough. You have to be right about it.
Yeah.
And so I mean, obviously one never knows if they're right.
Yeah.
But I was banking on that I was right about it because of what I said before that you were talking about, because I just said, no, it's not about me and believing in myself. I've listened to enough people that I believe that I don't think this is my problem. And so I just kept at it. And then eventually started things back up and started a career. But 7 years is a long time, and you have to be, if you're going to pursue this, hopefully it won't happen to people, but you have to be willing to sort of face that dragon down of it's year 6.5 and you haven't booked a gig. You have to be able to wake up the next day and still doggedly pursue it and assume that everything's going to be okay.
That's so powerful, and it really does speak to me because, like I said, I've had peers, who deservedly so have gone on to some great heights. I'm sitting back and I'm watching them in commercials, and I'm like, yo, we were at the same spot. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
But why not me? And my wife puts some things in perspective. She's like, hey, you work, you have kids, you're doing a good job. It's okay. And I'm very proud of those things. And I'm happy that I do have things outside of this, in tandem with this, that I can provide for my family. But I would say it wasn't until maybe mid 2023, 2024 where I feel as though I'm hitting my stride now, where I'm just I can't let this go. I can't let this go. And, I'm experiencing this boom on other platforms, and you really do have to bet on yourself, but know what's inside. No one can know what's in here until you take them and you say, look, this is what I've been talking about.
Yeah.
So I think that was really cool.
Absolutely.
That spoke to me. Well, let me ask, what would you say was your breakout role?
I mean, I've been stumbling along at a stepwise progression for a little while. The first gig that I got when I moved to LA, before I went into the desert, was I booked a role on that 70s show playing the dad in flashbacks. And so that was this little hint of what could be. And it was a cruel tease because, again, I didn't work again for a long time, but it was this thing was oh, this is possible.
Yeah.
And then the thing that kind of got me going again, the next thing that I booked was my first movie, which was this Ray Bradbury adaptation, and it's called Chrysalis. And through that, I made several good friends that lasted throughout the years and became creative partners in other things. And also, it just on set, the other actors told me about digital submissions, how you could like submit yourself to things. Because I got the role off of Craigslist.
Hey, if it works, right? You
Yeah, if it works. But they were like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got it off Craigslist. You guys didn't get it off Craigslist?" And they're like, "No, no, 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 no. That you can go on to sites on your computer and submit." And so that was a big significant thing for me, because again, made good friends, learned about being able to submit myself digitally, and also it was another touchstone because I had to. This is getting into the weeds a bit, but this is something that people who are interested in acting need to hear about. I was SAG because of that 70s show.
Okay.
And this was a non-union movie, and they wanted to cast me. And so the producer said, well, you can either go under the radar and, you know, like just hope that nobody catches you or whatever, or you can do this other thing, because people who are in the Screen Actors Guild cannot work non-union.
Okay.
And so I thought, oh my God, I can't believe I was so lucky to get into it to begin with.
Right.
Now I have to, because I'm not going to do it under the table. I'm not going to be dishonest. Now I have to kiss this all off because it's literally the only job that's been offered to me. Turned out to be the best thing that has ever happened in my professional life by going what they call financial core, which is where you can work both union and non-union. Once you get into SAG, you opt out. And so Chrysalis was just a hodgepodge of many, many blessings.
Okay. Well, it's pretty cool. It sounded like it, you know, branched you off into many different directions, and it's amazing how that happens. But let me ask, how did you find yourself within the, you know, Star Rail Honkai community? Because you have a very important character. He's a legacy character, one of the most powerful guys walking around.
This is what I'm learning. Yes.
Well, is the baddest man in multiple universes.
Yes. I found this out much later. I mean, it's just so typical because it's so random and unceremonious. I don't even know if these guys are sending me auditions anymore, but I had an unofficial non-union voiceover agent that I got. And basically that just means every so often you'll get an email from somebody saying, we think you're right for this. Do you want to put yourself down on tape? And then if I get the part, they get a cut.
Okay.
So this was just another one of those. I had no idea what it was. I don't even know if they told me the name of the video game or the company. I don't even think they named the character. If they did, I wouldn't have known what it was. But it was just literally one of many like things that I assumed would go nowhere because that's how most of it works. I just like recorded something and forgot about it. And then I got, you know, the call that, oh, that thing, they want to hire you for it. Didn't think anything about it. Didn't know, like, is it a video game? Is it a real video game? I have no idea. And enough time had gone by that I was really, really lost on it. And so I think I did like a couple sessions, forgot about it. And then time went by, and then I got another call, and then another call, and then another call. And then eventually the director on the other line, who's directing me from parts unknown when I'm in the recording booth, he said, you should be aware that this is like a thing. And I was like, really? He was like, no, I wouldn't be saying this. It's like a thing. And when this thing hits, it's going to be a thing, and you're going to be associated with it, and just be aware of that. And I was like, oh, all right, good to know. Thank you for the prep. And then a couple months later, the game hit, and then I understood. I was like, oh, I'm inheriting this character. This is a big thing. I'm the first English speaking person to play this character. This character has a whole history. People have this whole relationship with them that's coming to it. And so it was like roller coaster isn't the right word. It was like shot out of a cannon sort of thing.
Okay.
I had no idea about anything. And then all of a sudden I was like, I got it. Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is you aren't the only person to say that. Jordan Paul, of course, you know him as Dr. Ratio, speaking to my audience here. He said the same thing. He was like, hey, I got the role. I was like, cool. You know, we did the work. And then, you know, they're like, hold on. Do you realize what just happened?
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Because, like, it's just funny hearing so many people are like, yeah, you know, I did the work and cool, I'm appreciative of it. And then it was like, oh, you're now working with, you know, one of the biggest gaming franchises or studios out there.
Yeah.
And I think that's so phenomenal because you're organically growing with this. You know, it is a character that's been in existence before, but you now are growing with their development. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah, I think it is as well. I mean, it's so fun to be called back frequently because of all the stuff that's sort of like getting added, and it's just like the character gets more developed, the world gets more developed. I'm a part of it, and it's very, very cool, and I mean, it's just completely surprising and unexpected is basically it. It's just like I know you can't appreciate it because you don't sort of do this on a daily basis, but it was just like going from like I don't even know what that was and forgetting about it to all of a sudden being a part of this thing, and then having it be not only you know, legitimate and big, but like enjoyed and beloved and something that you enjoyed doing. It's just weird. It's like basically like, you know, like going in for an audition and then you wind up on The Simpsons or something like that, and you just think it's just like come in and do some voices, and then all of a sudden you're like on this big show. It's very much like that. It's a very wonderful, unexpected surprise.
Well, I love that. Well, let me ask, you know, I see, you know, you're very active with the community on X, aka Twitter. You know, how do you find yourself within this community, within the Starville cast, the fans, things of that nature, now that you're in this new world?
I mean, I don't, I mean, especially previously, the only things I sort of do on social media are just to promote things, not in a, you know, ugly way, but just sort of like, you know, you gotta like show that you exist and that you're doing things because it helps your momentum, and you know, and you do want to connect with people that you have worked with before. And so my experience with stuff is sort of limited. It still is sort of limited, but I at a certain point I was just sort of curious to see what people were saying. In the past, you know, movies that I've done, I haven't had a lot of nice things said about things that I've done, and I don't take that personally.
Yeah.
I've been the spokesperson for things, and I've had terrible things said about me. Um, the various ways that people would like to murder me have been said. So I'm not used to hearing nice things, and so I just kind of checked in to see, like, am I doing all right? Or people responding? And people were saying nice things, and in the past, I've always, anytime somebody responds or says something to me, like if I put up a video of me playing the piano and singing a song, and somebody says, "Ooh, I like that," I will always respond to them, and so it's just a habit. And so now when people are saying things, I just chime in because I think it's, if they're saying something nice, I'll just say, "Oh, that's really nice of you to say. I appreciate it." And so that's just kind of now my sort of involvement in it. I keep an eye out. It's like it's something very small that I can do that I don't even think about. I'm doing it because I want to respond to somebody, but I've learned that just being involved gives people like a little kick. Yeah. And so that's really nice. It's something very easy that I can do. So I try to, without inviting, the multitudes of things in, and keeping, trying to keep appropriate, borders and whatnot. I try to interact with people because they're just very, very nice, and it's easy for me to go, "Oh, thanks for saying that,"
Well, I for one can say, I was directly impacted by that. A couple months ago, I made a video. I was talking about, hey, Welt Yang is now meta again. Here's the build. Here's what you do. I appreciate and like this character. And then you left a simple comment. It was like, hey, I'm glad you're enjoying, our character Welt. Boom. Simple comment. I took it. I screenshot it. I was like, hey, check this out. This guy's awesome. Like, you made my day. And for you, it was probably just a small moment. And I'm not saying that to minimize it, but you're like, hey, someone said something nice. I'm going to say something nice back to them. And when someone of your celebrity does that, and someone's a fan of your work, it makes their day. So I really, like, I'm looking right at the camera, looking at you. I really do appreciate that. And,
well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, because that's the whole point. Yeah, I mean, it's yeah, it's like a it's a small window into what, like, real celebrities have to deal with. It's like training wheels for something that I honestly hope I never have to deal with, which is, I don't want celebrity. I don't want to be famous. I don't want any of that. It seems completely unmanageable and bizarre. But it's a small window into that thing, and it's like, what are you going to do with this, basically?
Yeah.
And I, even before anything happened, I you just think about, like, well, how are you going to deal if something does happen? How are you going to deal with that? And it's like, I've always wanted to make sure that I handled it, in the best way possible. And so this is like, it's like a small little window into it, like I said, and so I'm trying to do on my small level what I hope I would do on a larger level. Because it's like, you hear people who are famous talk about their experiences, and it's so daunting. But they say, that people come up to you and you can make their day or not,
Yeah.
by a simple interaction. And it's like, well, that's kind of a nice thing if you're approaching it in the right way.
Yeah.
It's like I assume when people are coming up to me that they're pissed at me.
What?
That's my own issue. If somebody's coming up to me, I'm assuming they're going to have some problem with me. And so I was imagining, like, oh, how nice it would be if you have this goodwill that comes with you, and people just want to have that, experience for a moment, and you can foster that, and so that's, I guess, what I'm saying is that's what I'm just trying to do.
And because you're making a core memory for a person, and it's like, obviously, my little small corner on the internet, but I play pretty heavily, Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'll go to tournaments and things of that nature. And I'm walking around, getting ready for my next match, and someone says, "Hey, Dreadhound," and I'm not used to hearing that
Yeah,
offline.
yeah.
And people bark at me. I've made peace with it. I'm here for it. I'm cool. Uh, and my friends are like, "Yo," like, a lot of my friends, they support, but they don't watch or do everything I'm involved in, and that's perfectly fine.
Right.
But they're like, "Yo, why is that guy barking
Yeah,
at you?"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, it's a thing. We'll talk about it. But like, they said I made their day, but honestly, they made my day. They were like, I was like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
cool. I was like, I did not expect to hear Dreadhound out here and about, but that was cool. Or
Absolutely.
there was like a Star Rail event at like Pelicana Chicken, and that's where I met Rachel and Nick, and they were awesome human beings. But there were people like, "Oh, is that Dreadhound?" And then the barking occurred, and I was like,
Yeah,
"This is insane to me." So it's
yeah.
just these interactions. I love it. I love positivity. I love inclusivity. There's so much negativity in the world. That's a lot of ivities I put out there, but I just love that with just a few minutes, you can change someone's day, and they can change yours. So why not spend it on positivity?
I agree.
I'm hoping I'm putting that out into the universe. I love that you're putting that out into the universe and you're receptive of that. I want you to receive your flowers. We love and appreciate you. I'm telling you, as a matter of fact, there are a few people that are going to watch this video and they're going to lose their mind. You have some rabbit fans.
It seems that way. It's the important thing is, you know, you have to keep it all in perspective. And I know that so much of it is, again, just the goodwill that comes along with this character and their feelings and their experiences about everything that came before anything that I did. I'm just not screwing it up, basically. And I'm adding a little bit on, perhaps. But like it's important to, and I have such like lack of self-esteem that like it would be easy to go to somebody's head. But one has to just kind of like just remember, what's going on. It's like I'm doing a voice on a video game, and people like that, and that's great. But I've been a singer-songwriter, for like over 24 years to zero success. I answered an ad on Craigslist it was just like, do you want to be a singer in my band? Again, it was very much like the Welt audition. It was just like, send the stuff, send it off, don't think anything about it, assume that nothing's going to happen, because that's the way it goes.
Mm.
And I ended up, the guy hired me. Now we're like 4 albums deep, and I just played for like 400 people on a battleship. Like I never, as a singer-songwriter, I'm playing for like maybe 20 people.
Mm.
And all of a sudden I'm singing in front of all of these people who are singing along the words. And but it's like the only thing I'm thinking is, well, this is interesting. This is a cool experience that I didn't think I would have, And but it's you just like you just gotta kind of again just keep things in perspective, because it's people have this weird thing about whatever celebrity is or known people, or just like if you recognize them, it's like the brain, it's not anything to do with people, it's just natural. People think a certain thing and they act a certain way, but it's just like a couple of years ago I was like selling beets at the farmers market, like it's we're all people. I just happen to be doing a gig that more people see.
Well, we appreciate it, and I don't normally do this because I don't like to. Well, let me just ask. One of our favorite lines, survive.
I knew this was coming.
I had to ask.
It's called pimping. You're pimping me. Let's have it.
Survive or be destroyed. How did it feel to drop that line? Because we
survive or be destroyed. There is no other choice.
It's so cold. I love it.
He's got good lines. He's got good lines. Yeah. No, it's fun. It's fun to. Yeah, it's when the lines come in, it's like, oh, this seems like a fairly significant thing that has weight to it, and he does. He's got a lot of that. But yeah, no, that's fun. It's like, oh, I get to bring some gravitas to this,
Well, I love it, and thank you very much. You dropped some awesome nuggets of wisdom along the way. There's such a grace and humbleness to you, so we appreciate it. I normally ask, hey, what advice do you have, for this or for voice actors? But you just dropped so many different things along the way where it's this awesome roadmap, and we are appreciative of it.
I appreciate you saying that, and hopefully it wasn't too much. I tend to I guess it's the Welt in me, but I want to help people and give advice, and I think I'm good at it. So I try to, as much as I can, to just try to give good advice.
Well, thank you. Where can we find you online?
What's see, this is so I was going to make a joke, but I'm so stupid.
No.
My OnlyFans. There we go.
Do you know?
If I came up with that quicker, you can find me at daddyweltonlyfans.com. Yeah,
that's gonna become a thing.
Let's not even. I mean, if my wife were here, she'd be like, "You might want to think about we could buy a house."
My wife is the same way. I'm just like, what?
It's occasionally I stumble onto images and comments that's
welcome to Twitter.
The innocent me is blushing and clutching my pearls, but it's all in good fun, and I understand that, and all that's all wonderful stuff. Look, it's my name. There's another singer-songwriter out there that has my name. It's not his fault. Mm-hmm. He was born with it. But my music's out there on Spotify. I've got, unfortunately, 2 YouTube pages because I forgot my password at some point and just started a new one, and now I'm plagued with the fact that it's divided up.
That's fair.
But I put up videos of me, kind of ranting about casting notices and auditions that I have to do. I do that. I do impressions of people. I put up music. So I'm there on YouTube. I'm there on Twitter, but mainly just to say hi to people. If you want to find me, you can find me. I'm on Instagram just to share nice pictures. I'm out there.
Well, sir, thank you very much for your time, your wisdom. We're going to go ahead and close this one out because the awesome, phenomenal, talented Corey Landis has now been acknowledged by the pack. And of course, to all of you, welcome to the House of Hounds. I'm out.